Daryl Hall is here. He is the lead singer of Hall & Oates. In 2007, he began an internet show called Live from Daryl's House. This September, he brought it to television. He also just released a new solo album. It is called Laughing Down Crying. I am pleased to have Daryl Hall back at this table. Welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
Now, how long has it been since you had a solo album?
Solo album, I think, man, I don't remember. I did one in the late 90s, and it was then re-released in the early 80s, but whatever, a long time.
So why do you come back to one now?
Well, I haven't really made much of any recorded music for a while. I've been so busy doing other things, and John and I decided we're at a certain point in our lives. We really want to sort of be creative on our own. Yeah, after all this body of work that we've done together. So I think that that's what we're doing. So I think it's sort of the beginning of a new era.
So we might be seeing Live from John's house.
I think, well, I don't know about Live from John's house, but you can see John live, that's for sure.
Yeah. So this album is called...
I'd call it, I sort of called the box set of my mind. How about that? And the reason I say that is because it sort of covers a lot of ground with me. Sort of the creative progression. There's elements of things from my early days, sort of the ideas that I used to have in those days, and all the way up through to the present, sort of mixed and matched together.
What is Laughing Down Crying?
It is all about sort of confusion, frustration, the good and the bad all happening simultaneously, all those things. It's like...
And tell me how you characterize the sound.
I think it's a pretty direct sound. I think it has a certain kind of aggression, at least for me.
Aggression?
Aggression, meaning very, it's in your face. And the arrangement and production are, again, for me, pretty sparse and very direct. It's a very direct
kind of tribute to T-Bone Walsh?
It's definitely a tribute. Every note is a tribute to T-Bone, who passed away
in February 2010.
Literally the first week of the project. Wow. We got through 3 songs, and the last song was a song called "Problem with You," which is I called Bones' last ride on the CD. And 3 hours later, he was gone. But so that's the way he went out.
He meant what to you?
He was so many things to me. He was my closest friend. He was my co-producer, co-arranger, ran my band with me, sort of created Daryl's house with me. Just...
So this album, his spirit's in this album.
Every minute of it. After he died, I was really, as you can imagine, flailing around. What in the world am I going to do? I knew that I had to go on because one does, but I didn't know how. And the people that I brought in were also friends with T-Bone, and so he was very much in the room through the whole project. Yeah.
In fact, the lyrics of the title track are, "So many times I've wondered about the way to go. Should I believe in my past life, or should I stay solo?"
Solo, right. Yeah, well, that sort of describes it right there, It's... there's a lot of transition on this record. It's a lot of what do I do now? Where do I go?
It's also generational.
Yeah.
You got your stepdaughter.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, that's right. I've been married for 2 years, but I've been with this family for a much longer time. And I have a 18-year-old stepdaughter and a just turned 17-year-old stepson. And I've been sort of training them both over the years because I'm a sort of a natural-born music teacher.
Yeah. Where did you meet her?
In England.
That's
in London.
What I thought. Yeah. She's British.
She is British. Yeah. As are they.
Right.
And they're they're just great kids, and she is a really talented singer, and I needed somebody to sing backgrounds, and I said, "What are you doing, March?" And she came in here. And she was so professional. Her name's March.
You obviously knew that you wanted to do something that would be available to a wider audience if it clicked on the internet. Mm-hmm. So you set out and shooting it with production values that would be easily acceptable for a television program.
Yeah, I had sort of 2 notions about the whole thing. I wanted the freedom that could only come from starting a show on the internet. It's a certain kind of subtlety and narrowcasting that an internet show allowed me to do.
Right.
In fact, in the very beginning, I went to some networks, and I have some pretty funny stories about that, the ideas that they had. Right. Oh, pretty good idea, Daryl, but why don't you have a contest at the end and have judges? How original, and it just wouldn't have flown if I had gone directly to networks. So I really wanted to get, again, I feel that the present and the future are getting a very loyal tribe on your side. I think this idea of being everything to everybody is a sort of an old-fashioned idea. And so by having this show on the internet, I really got my tribe going. And that consists of people who have been with me for decades and a lot of new kids too, you know, a new generation.
Yeah, when you did this, did you have other shows in mind?
I didn't really, no.
You know, just thought, I'll do this well, and I'll be able to...
Yeah, and it's sort of...
It really does say something about... I mean, I had sort of the same kind of opportunity. I didn't start on the internet, but because I didn't start big, I had a chance to make it into my own. You know, I had the freedom to do what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Rather than people who start a television program and they say, you know, that we just want to do this and let's find somebody who can do this, rather than a program being an extension of who you are. I mean, you know, John knows this, and you know this well. Daryl's house is who you are.
It couldn't be more who I am.
Exactly.
It's literally in my kitchen, in my house, with my friends, and I tried to create that mood, you know. And that's another thing, is that I think it's maybe the first show ever, really. People tell me it is anyway. That where an audience that's watching this thing feels like they're not an audience. They feel like they're in with you. Right. You know, you're listening to people. Musicians interact. Nobody knows what musicians are really like.
Well, I have the sausage meat, the pork, and I have some chicken sausage, and we might mix some vegetables in there too. And the guys are going to crank their own sausage, put the casings on there. It's
So when you say making, you mean like picking out the stuff you want in it?
we'll start off with some pork. All right. You want to add some cheese? Some cilantro.
Okay, I'm gonna make some spicy chicken.
You're gonna make. All right, here. He's not shy. Get it.
I'm ready to get down.
No, that's enough mash.
Throw it in here. All right. Oh yeah. Now the fun starts.
Dig it, baby.
Ooh, look at that.
Now.
All right.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh! Wow! It's a boy.
Yeah.
And how is it different today than it was when you started it 4 years ago?
Well, it's evolved. You know, I loved the first one. I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I had my friends hold some handy cams.
Right.
You know, and it's pretty funny. And then fairly soon on, I said, well, I think I need a director. So I brought a director in who sort of organized it all. We started bringing in multi-cameras. We added a guest. I thought, oh, okay, that was the third show, I believe. We said, let's have me interact with a guest, and preferably.
And how do you like that part?
I love that part. That's my favorite part, is that I'm meeting these people for the first time.
Yeah, right.
It's every week is a blind date.
And you never know where it's going to go.
You never know.
It's totally unscripted.
It keeps you totally on your toes. And there's no rehearsal.
Yeah.
We don't do any rehearsal other than homework that people learn the songs beforehand.
Right.
But we get in that room, and what you're seeing is what's happening for the first time. And then I added food, because you got to eat when you're playing music, right? And so it all went from there.
And then I think it won a Webby Award, didn't it?
It did. It won a Webby Award last year, and I'm very proud of that.
And what was the Webby Award for?
It was the best variety.
The best variety?
Best variety show. And I love that. I don't know what the variety is, but best variety show on the internet. So
and how did you get it on commercial television?
I talked to some people and went
you didn't need to present a show. They could just go to the internet.
Right.
They could go online and see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It
have
sold
to have an
itself
audition
that way.
tape or a sense of what we think it's going to be.
Right.
It is what it's going to be.
It is what it is, you know. Yeah. And I went the syndicated route because I thought that was the right way to go with it. And every I didn't have to change.
It grows
anything.
market by market.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to change because it's now seen on television?
No, it's not going to change at all. I mean, that's the whole thing.
That's what got you there. You're going to dance with it.
I love it the way it is. You know, I re-edit it and all that, and make it a little tighter, but that's the only change.
And you did some episode from Hawaii?
I did an episode with Todd Rundgren, an old friend of mine.
Yeah, right.
And that was great. You know, it's at his house. I went to Todd's house for a change.
Exactly.
So we reversed the whole thing, and that was a good one.
Who's your favorite guest?
Well, Todd and I always get along well, but I had Smokey Robinson on, who was my childhood idol. You know, I was just like, I wanted to be Smokey Robinson. So that was pretty exciting. And then, I mean...
Longevity says a lot, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. But, you know, I love meeting these new bands. I really do. I think they're some of my favorite shows.
And you learn from them? I mean, where are they going that you might not have known without seeing them and meeting them and knowing them with music?
You know what I like the most about this whole new generation, at least the ones that I encounter, are their expectations are different. than people of my generation.
How so?
Where you could, if you clicked, you would sell millions and millions of records without any problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that's just not going to happen. It isn't going to fly like that. So these kids, well, I call them kids, but some of them, most of them are in their early 20s. They have lowered expectations, but it frees them in some way because they feel like if they work hard, they can get their tribe together. Again, I use that word, and have a working career, make a certain amount of money, but the idea of untold riches and living like rock stars and it doesn't really, I don't think, click in their heads anymore to do that, and it humbles them, grounds them, and it makes them, I think, better for it.
Did you see something of you and John and Jagger and Keith, or did Mick and Keith?
I think that there has always been a similarity in our interaction. Yes, the way John and I
relate is the same way that
relate,
Keith and
the
Mick.
Same way we sort of met at the same period in our lives as teenagers. We perform when we work together. We perform sort of the same function. There's a lot of similarity the way when we write together.
How did you and John start?
We started in Philly, and he had. I mean, we were teenagers, just entering, getting out of high school, and we're both going to go to Temple University, and I had a single that I had just done with Gamble and Huff, who were people don't know maybe producers in Philadelphia who became quite famous, created the sound of Philadelphia basically, and John was working in a similar. Actually, he was working sort of on the periphery of that himself, with his band, and we met at a place where you lip sync your record, and do that kind of stuff, and we both knew that we were in
And was it chemistry, or was it just simply the fact that you complemented each other?
I think it was more, in the beginning especially, it was more complementing each other. And we both had the same interest. We both were going to the same school. We needed college roommates, that kind of thing. And I think that we sort of got to know each other more as roommates, and then we started making some music together.
Do you consider Philadelphia a hometown? Or you think of it as the way most of us think of a hometown?
Yeah. If you grow up in Philadelphia, you're from Philly, no matter your life,
exactly.
For life. Yeah.
I read somewhere where you were asked about what's the best advice you ever got, and you said your mother, who said, "Don't sing from your throat, sing from your diaphragm. Bring it down."
That's right.
And then let it come out.
That's absolutely true. She was a teacher, a vocal teacher, and she taught me how to sing from when I was 2, 3 years old, and a lot of people lose their voices over there as throat singers, and diaphragm singers don't lose their voices.
Have you stayed? I mean, how do you beyond that? How else do you train the whole mechanism? How do you make sure that you're not only is it continuing, but that it's as strong as ever?
I don't do anything.
You don't do anything to damage it, though. I
don't do anything to damage it. That's right. I try. I try and live as well as I can, and I pace myself. Absolutely pace myself. But other than that, it's just really, again, I think you could use the muscle analogy too. It's, as long as you keep doing it, it keeps you in shape.
And the show that you're doing now, live from Daryl's house. I mean, how do you see the future of that? That will keep you away from doing concerts?
No. In fact, I'm going to start doing Daryl's house live from Daryl's house live.
Right.
And that's going to start. I already did one. I did one with Todd.
Right.
In the Brigada in Philadelphia. It was great success. It really worked, and it's interesting to figure out how to take that experience and that mood and bring it onto the stage without turning it into a normal performance with an audience. But we figured out how to do it, and so I'm going to be doing more of those with various artists, with the different people that have been on the show. And I don't know. I mean,
start doing duos.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm used to that.
Yeah. So speaking of that, why do you think you guys had such phenomenal success? I mean, obviously, you did what you did well, but often there is something that's called an X factor, which means that, an individual or a group has something that transcends what they are together.
Yeah. That X factor thing, that's a hard call, especially from the person that's Xing.
That is the one who's the subject of the X.
Yeah, All I know is
it's
that
sometimes called magic. I mean,
we do have a collective, together and individually, we have a magic, and it has something to do with the way we approach the music. We're not the only people in the world making what I'll call honest music, authentic, but we do that. You know, I think that I speak about things that other people, at least people I've been told this, that other people can't say themselves, and I say it for them. There's that kind of thing. There's a certain intergenerational appeal.
See, that's amazing. I mean, it is the gift of a writer or the gift of a songwriter to find the capacity to say something better than anyone can say it or even feel it, but they know that you are speaking what they feel. If you can do that, you at least have an opportunity, in a sense, too. If you can do it for one person, you probably can do it for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I've been told that happens from many, many people over the years. So that's a good thing.
Anything you haven't done that you want to do?
Well, I don't know.
But you've traveled everywhere.
I've traveled.
You know, a great family, great relationship.
I'm really very fulfilled, but that doesn't mean that the fulfillment doesn't slow me down. You know, I'm so busy, incredibly busy doing these things that I love to do. I'm sure if something else comes up, I don't know. I mean, there's a whole new world of television is opening up to me. Who knows what I'll do?
And it's global.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Taking this show.
Isn't that great about it? I mean, somebody can sit in Nigeria, and watch live from Daryl's house.
They can do that right now on the internet. That's for sure.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's my point. It's great to see you again.
Good to be here.
So many times I've wondered about the way to go. Should I believe in my past life, or should I stay solo? Watching the world roll around me, you make it rise and fall. I've never known